Jungkook stood near the expansive window of the living room, his sharp eyes scanning the cityscape as he held his phone to his ear. His deep, calm voice carried through the room as he discussed an upcoming business event with a colleague. Yes, I have received the details, he said, his tone even yet commanding. I will be attending. It's a formality, but I understand it's important. Anything else? The faint sound of footsteps reached him as you entered the room, carrying up a cup of freshly brewed coffee. Despite being married for months, Jungkook remained distant, cold even. He rarely spoke about his thoughts or feelings, leaving you to wonder what was going through his mind most of the time. Still, he wasn't unkind. His care was always hidden beneath his stoic exterior. As you approached, Jungkook gave you a brief glance and gestured for you to place the cup on the table. You did so without a word, watching him as he continued his conversation. His gaze flickering to you before returning to the window. Yes, I will handle it. I will attend party. No further discussion is needed. He ended the call and slipped the phone into his pocket, turning his full attention to you. His expression was as unreadable as ever, his dark eyes giving nothing away. A party? You asked hesitantly, breaking the silence. He nodded once, moving towards the coffee you had brought. It's for business, he said, simply lifting the cup and taking a small sip. I will be attending, and you are coming with me. Your eyebrows rose slightly in surprise. Me? But I never... Exactly, he interrupted, setting the cup down gently. You have been home for weeks, barely stepping out. It's time you enjoy yourself. But it's a business party, you said softly. What if they know you are my wife? He said firmly, cutting off your protests. It's only natural for you to attend with me. Besides, I want you there. That last sentence sent a strange flutter through your chest. It was a rare for Jungkook to express what he wanted, especially when it came to you. You studied him for a moment, his expression remaining neutral, though you thought you caught the faintest trace of softness in his gaze. Okay, you said, quietly nodding. Jungkook's eyes lingered on you for a moment before he picked up his phone. Be ready by evening. I will be back from work early, he said as he turned away. You nodded and watched as he walked out of the door. At the evening, you stood in front of your wardrobe, pulling out dress after dress, unsure of what to wear for the business party. Finally, you settled on a dress, your hands brushed over the sleek fabric of a dress that hugged your curves elegantly, a rich deep color that complemented your skin tone. You sat on chair before the mirror as you were halfway through doing your hair when you heard the sound of the front door opening and Jungkook's familiar footsteps echoing down the hallway, and he came to the bedroom. Why his calm, deep voice called out as he entered the bedroom. You glanced over your shoulder to see him loosening his tie, his blazer slung over one arm. I am back, he said, simply heading to the closet. I will get ready now. You should finish up getting ready. You nodded, giving him a small smile. Okay. You continued with your hair, occasionally glancing at him through the mirror as he moved about the room. Even in his casual movement, Jungkook carried an air of authority that was impossible to ignore. He adjusted his cufflinks as he walked back into the room, his gaze naturally drifting towards you. You had just finished putting the final touches on your hair, and as you turned around and stood up to grab your heels, Jungkook froze. Your glowing skin and the soft waves of your hair framed your face beautifully. For a moment, Jungkook forgot how to breathe. You caught his reflection in the mirror, noticing his presence. Turning to face him fully, you asked, Jungkook, are you ready? He didn't respond. His dark eyes remained locked on you and his silence lingered, making you froze slightly in confusion. Jungkook, you said again, stepping closer, still no answer. With a soft chuckle, you waved your hand in front of his face, breaking his trance. Jungkook blinked rapidly, his ears turning a faint shade of pink. Yeah, he stammered, clearing his throat. I'm ready. You tilted your head curiously at his frustrated state. Jungkook wasn't one to lose his composure, and seeing him like this was both surprising and oddly endearing. Before you could say anything else, he spoke again, his voice lower this time. You look beautiful. Thank you, you said softly, a small smile gracing your lips as warmth spread through your chest. Are you all ready? He asked, his voice steadier now, though the slight pinkness in his ears remained. Almost. I just need to touch up my lipstick and put on my heels. You picked up 2 lipsticks from the table, holding them up for him to see. Which one do you think I should use? Jungkook hesitated, his gaze flickering between the 2 shades before pointing to one. That one, he said, his voice quieter now. Nodding, you took the chosen lipstick and began applying it. As you leaned slightly closer to the mirror, Jungkook's eyes instinctively followed the movement of your lips. The way the soft, creamy color glided over your mouth made his throat tighten. He quickly turned his gaze elsewhere, trying to shake off the sudden heat that crept into his chest. But his eyes betrayed him, darting back to you as you pressed your lips together to blend the color. Wyan, he said abruptly, his voice slightly strained. You paused, looking at him through the mirror. Yes? I will wait outside, he blurted, his tone sharp but not unkind. Without waiting for your response, he turned and left the room. After finishing your touch-ups, you took one last look in the mirror, smoothing down your dress and adjusting your hair. A soft smile played on your lips as you slipped into your heels and grabbed your small clutch. You glanced around the room to ensure you hadn't forgotten anything before making your way downstairs. Jungkook was waiting outside, sitting in the car. Through the window, you could see him leaning back in the driver's seat, his hand resting casually on the steering wheel while his other hand scrolled through his phone. Even in this relaxed pose, he executed a certain authority that made your heart race just looking at him. You opened the passenger door and slid into the seat beside him. "I'm ready," you said softly, fastening your seatbelt. Without a word, Jungkook started the car. The silence between you was thick, broken only by the soft sound of the tires on the road as he pulled out the driveway. You turned to him, studying his sharp profile as he focused on the road ahead. His hands gripped the steering wheel with a practiced ease, his expression unreadable as always. "Will there be a lot of people there?" He gave a small nod. "Most of them are familiar faces. Clients, business partners, their families, nothing new. I have never been to one of these events before. Are they formal, casual?" Jungkook glanced at you briefly before returning his eyes to the road. "Just stay by my side, you will be fine." You nodded. The rest of the drive passed mostly in silence, save for a few brief exchanges. Jungkook parked the car and stepped out, coming around to open your door before you could do it yourself. "Let's go," he said, offering you his hand. You placed your hand in his, stepping out of the car gracefully. Together you walked into the venue, your arm lightly brushing against his as you entered the dazzling room filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and the soft hum of conversation. He took you towards a group of his colleagues. "Jungkook," one of the men said, extending a hand. "Good to see you here," and his gaze shifted to you, curiosity flickering in his eyes. "This is my wife, Ryan," Jungkook said smoothly, his tone steady but holding a hint of pride. The group's attention immediately turned to you, their expressions softening as they took you in. "Ryan, it's a pleasure to meet you," the man said, offering his hand. You shook it politely, smiling. "It's nice to meet you too," you replied, your voice steady despite the slight nervousness you felt. One of the women in the group, a striking businesswoman dressed in an elegant gown, stepped forward with an admiring look. "Ryan, you look absolutely stunning," she said warmly. "Jungkook, why didn't you introduce us to her sooner?" "She doesn't usually come to events like this," he replied, his voice calm but tinged with something softer. "Well," the woman said, turning back to you, "you are a delight. We would love to see you more often." At one point, Jisoo leaned towards Jungkook with a teasing smile. "You should bring her to these events more often. She is making you look even better than usual." Jungkook chuckled softly, a rare sound that made your chest tighten. "I will consider it," he said, glancing at you briefly. After some time, Jungkook guided you to one of the tables near the edge of the room. It was quieter there, away from the bustling crowd, and you both settled into the pearls chairs. A server appeared promptly and Jungkook ordered drinks for both of you, his tone calm and collected as always. Noticing a small group of men standing a short distance away, Jungkook's gaze lingered on them for a moment. He set his drink down and leaned slightly towards you. Wyan, I see some of my old friends over there. I will go meet them and be back in 5 minutes. Stay here, alright? You nodded quickly. Of course, take your time. With a brief glance in your direction, he stood and adjusted his suit jacket before walking towards the group. His eyes lingering on you, captivated by your beauty and elegance. Eventually, he seemed to gather his courage and began making his way over to you. Excuse me, he began, his voice smooth but a little too bold. I couldn't help but notice you sitting here alone. You are the most beautiful woman in this entire room. You blinked, caught off guard by the sudden compliment. Oh, thank you. You replied politely, shifting uncomfortably in your seat. He didn't stop there. Instead, he pulled out the chair opposite you and sat down uninvited, leaning closer as he spoke. You must hear this all the time, but I mean it. You are stunning. The way you carry yourself, I couldn't look away. I don't mean to intrude. The man continued, ignoring your discomfort, but I feel like I would regret if I didn't at least introduce myself. I'm Minho, and you are? Before you could respond, he suddenly stood and a determined look in his eyes. To your utter shock, he dropped to one knee right in front of you, drawing the attention of a few nearby guests. Miss, I know this is sudden, he said, holding a flower in his hand, but I can't help myself. From the moment I saw you, I know I had to ask, will you go out with me? Or better yet, be mine? I love you. Your eyes widened in disbelief. Before you could utter a word, a familiar shadow loomed over the both of you. What the hell is going on here? Minho stood up slowly. Oh, are you her friend? I was just... Before he could finish, Jungkook grabbed the front of his suit jacket and yanked him to his feet fully. The sound of a sharp slap echoed through the room and gasps rippled through the nearby guest. She is my wife, and before you make a fool of yourself, maybe you should learn to ask who someone is before acting so shamelessly. Minho stumbled back, holding his cheek in shock. Wife? He stammered, his face paling as he processed Jungkook's words. Jungkook took a step closer. Stay away from her. If I catch you looking at her again, you will regret it. The intensity of Jungkook's gaze made Minho nod rapidly, his confidence completely shattered. Without another word, he turned and hurried away, disappearing into the crowd. The room was eerily silent as Jungkook turned back to you, his expression softening slightly when he saw your startled face. He reached out, his hand brushing against yours. Are you okay? You nodded slowly, still processing what had just happened. I'm fine. He extended his hand. Come, let's go home. You hesitated briefly before placing your hand in his. He led you out of the room and both went to your home. As soon as you stepped into the living room, Jungkook turned to face you, his eyes narrowing slightly. Why didn't you tell him you're married? You blinked, taken aback by his directness. I was going to be, but before I could, you came over and slapped him. His brows frowned and for a moment he didn't respond. He ran a hand through his hair, his frustration evident. Do you have any idea how I felt? Seeing someone else kneel in front of you like that, talking to you like you were his. A small smile tugged at your lips despite the seriousness of the conversation. Are you jealous, Jungkook? He looked away briefly, his Adam's apple bobbing as he swallowed hard. I hate myself for being jealous, but I can't deny it. I was jealous, and I got so angry as I see him proposing you. Jungkook, you began softly stepping closer to him. Why does it bother you so much? Why are you so distant with me even though you care? It's not you, it's me. You sat beside him waiting patiently for him to continue. When I was younger, I lost my parents. They left me alone. They were everything to me, and then in an instant they were gone. I have always told myself not to get too close to anyone because everyone I love eventually leaves. Your chest tightened at his words. Jungkook. He looked at you then, his eyes dark and filled with a pain you hadn't seen before. When we got married, I didn't want to open up to you. I didn't want to risk feeling that kind of loss again. But no matter how much I tried to keep my distance, I couldn't stop myself from caring about you. His confession left you breathless. All this time, his cold demeanor hadn't been about you at all. It had been his way of protecting himself from the fear of loss. You reached out, placing a gentle hand on his. Jungkook, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. But you are not alone anymore. You have me, and I'm not going anywhere, I promise. He stared at you, his expression unreadable. How can you say that so easily? What if something happens? What if... You cut him off. No what ifs. Life is unpredictable, Jungkook, but that doesn't mean you have to push people away. I'm here for you and I will always be by your side. You don't have to carry everything alone anymore. His eyes softened and for the first time you saw a flicker of hope in them. He gave a small nod, his shoulders relaxing slightly. You don't know how much those words mean to me. You smiled, squeezing his hand. Then let me show you every single day. I'm sorry for the way I have treated you, Ryan. I love you. I want to make you happy. I love you too, Jungkook. He pulled you into a tight hug. You leaned against his shoulder, feeling a newfound sense of closeness between you.